Here's my final flip through of my completed journal. I have added some beads and charms to the little strings that I left hanging in the signature. So I have some fake pearl beads and some little crystal beads and some pretty rhinestone spacers. I added this rusty little bobbin and this pink lily bead and this little charm that says Mom. So here's the cover to my journal that is a collage of embroidery, some vintage embroidery, and then this pretty silk ribbon embroidery. And the back is more, and the bumblebee embroidery is some that I did myself, if you haven't seen my previous videos. And then I have 3 signatures, which are not perfectly straight, but you know, this is my first attempt. So, and then I have this muslin tie at the opening, which actually works pretty well. I mean, it can be a little stringy, but I've been happy with the way this opens and closes. It feels pretty sturdy. So on the inside, I have scrapbooking paper lining my cover. And on my opening page, I have some reproduction ephemera and a journaling card I made out of watercolor paper that actually came out of my grandfather's stuff. And then here's this. I left this blank. I'll probably personalize this with like my name or whatever after I'm done filming. This next page is a collage made from a vintage 1950s greeting card. Both of these images were from that card. And then this little envelope, which doesn't have anything in it at the moment, but I'll fill it eventually. This next page is a pocket made from scrapbooking paper and some vintage lace trim. One of these pretty little stickers that I got from Dollar Tree years and years ago. And then I have some more handmade journaling tags, and this one has a little bit of a flip up. And then inside is a card that I received from my mom. This page has a flip out, and I have glued on a piece of paper that came from a vintage 1980s Avon calendar. So it was like a hardback journal kind of book with, you know, dates and times and stuff where you could write in it. And this is a glycine envelope, a bookmark that was also Avon, that was scented, like a sample came in, and I very carefully opened it at the top and took out the Avon bookmark and replaced it with this scrapbooking paper that can be used as a journaling tag, and slipped it inside this little glycine envelope. And this, this for sure came from my mom. This may have come from someone else, but I know this came from my mom. My mom sold Avon when I was a little girl, hence the few additions of Avon products in my journal. And then on this journaling page, the back is 2 different kinds of wrapping paper and this vintage lace pocket. And inside the pocket is a reproduction Victorian postcard that came from a book that my mother bought me that was full of all these postcards. And then this journaling tag with another vintage sticker from, or almost vintage sticker that came from Dollar Tree back in the day when the stuff they had was really cute. And then on this page we have this little envelope flip out with this vintage lace crocheted butterfly. And in this one we've got a little vintage postcard for journaling tucked in the pocket. This page has this flip out with the paper lace and then vintage blue lace on the inside. And this is a collage I made from an embellished greeting card that's probably late 60s, early 70s maybe, that I glittered a number of years ago and embellished with these vintage appliques. I actually did this in 2009, and it was originally in a frame, but I took it out of the frame and put it in my journal. This page, it has a double pocket. So the back pocket is scrapbooking paper, and I used cute little kitty cat sticker. And then this is a greeting card that I received from my mom in this envelope, along with the letter that she wrote when she sent me this card. And then this is tucked into this back pocket. and then a postcard, a vintage postcard, in this front lace pocket, and then this is a little sachet that somebody had given me a number of years ago. And then on this page we have the bookmark / journaling tag that I'm still probably going to antique because it's kind of great. But this is a piece of the Victorian ephemera that my great-grandmother made. This is a photocopy that I fussy cut, and then I added the little birds, and then I have a scrapbook paper pocket. This is another tea stain doily with some more of the decoupage paper that I actually rescued from the Goodwill bin store. And then on this page we have a scrapbook and paper pocket, another card from my mom, and Dollar Tree sticker here from years and years ago, this same as the previous Dollar Tree sticker. And then these actually also came from the Goodwill bin store. On this page we have more of the ephemera from my great-grandmother that I photocopied and then fussy cut, and then added some stickers and some stamped embellishments on this page. This page is still blank, waiting for whatever's going to go on here. Another scrapbooking paper page with this flip out where I have some vellum and a tea stain doily and some stationery. This page is a decoupage page that I made from a vintage nursery catalog from probably the 70s, and I glued the order form on the page, added one of the images from that catalog, and then some of these pretty stickers that I think my mom gave me, and then some more scrapbooking paper from the elements I'm using in this journal. So then we have another scrapbooking paper page with a tea stain doily pocket and a couple of journaling tags that I made. So this is coordinating scrapbooking paper on watercolor paper, and then this vintage tag with this pretty scrapbooking paper that I've been hoarding forever. And then the next page is the wallpaper from my grandmother's home, and I made a little tuck spot here for one of my Cynthia Hart calendar postcards. And here's the first page I made for my junk journal, and I have this little tiny vellum envelope with this little tiny vellum ticket and some more ephemera on here that's reproduction, but this page kind of has a railroad traveling kind of theme. And then this page has an envelope tuck spot with this pretty lace in the corner, and in here is the antique postcard that came from my personal collection of antique postcards, and then another journaling tag made out of some pretty scrapbooking paper. And then inside the envelope is this journaling card made from a piece of ephemera that I cut from the packaging that the Cynthia Hart calendars come in. They're wrapped in this cardboard or cardstock that's decorated with stuff that matches the calendar for that year, and I cut that off and made it into a little journaling tag tucked in that pocket. Here is another Avon item that was from an Avon calendar that I glued to this page, and then I trimmed her out with some of this pretty hand-tatted lace trim in variegated pink, and then the charm through the signature of the bobbin and some pretty beads. And then we have another tuck spot, and this tuck spot has this little vintage card that's just a blank note card on the inside, and then this pretty little vintage postcard that are both tucked into this corner tuck spot here. And then I have a pocket made from some reproduction ephemera, and this little journaling tag made from some more reproduction ephemera to tuck in that pocket. And on this page I have a pocket made from some vintage stationery, and so this is, I was probably in junior high when I got this, maybe high school. And these are the very last pieces of this stationery. So there's a piece of paper, and then there's one envelope left because they were so pretty I didn't want to use it all up, so I left one piece of each, and I made a pocket out of that stationery. And then inside this pocket is a thank you card I received from a friend. And on my next page, I have another pocket made from scrapbooking paper with a tea stain doily collaged with some cameos. And inside this pocket is another journaling tag made from another one of the reproduction Victorian postcards, and a card from another family member. This is actually from my former father-in-law and his wife. And on this page is another card that I received from my mother, clipped to this page with this pretty metal paper clip. And on this page is a handmade Valentine made for me by my daughter. And on this page we have a pocket made from a vintage 1950s greeting card. And inside the pocket I have a journaling tag made from the back of that same greeting card and one of these pretty vintage Dollar Tree stickers. And then inside this pocket I also have a card that was given to me by one of my former Sunday school teachers, tucked in that pocket. And then on this page we have this cute little flip out with this cute little sticker. And inside is a greeting card that was given to me by my grandparents, tucked into that pocket. And then on this page we have another greeting card in this pocket where I have another tea stain doily and some more scrapbooking paper. And this card was actually given to me by my mom. And then inside that pocket, this envelope opens up and there's another card inside. This card was actually crafted by my mother, but given to me by my daughter. My mom let my kids pick out handmade cards from her stash of handmade cards that particular year. And then this page is just from an Ideals magazine, but it's pretty on its own, so I haven't done anything to it. Here we have another pocket from an envelope that I tea stained. And I have two handmade journaling cards that are both from repurposed greeting cards. And then this is tied with a piece of lace. Inside here is just a simple piece of like parchment-like stationery paper. And then on this page, I have more of the ephemera that I photocopied that was from my great-grandmother. This lace pocket containing a Victorian reproduction greeting card, just a little scripture written inside, but it's blank so it can be journaled in. And then over here in this vellum lace punched pocket, I have another one of my Cynthia Hart calendar postcards. And on this signature we've got, this is the little mom charm and the pink lily. I can get them right side up. There we are. And then on this page we have another lace pocket with a card from my daughter and another little rose printed card. I think this was a frameable. It's not really a postcard, but it's a little bit heavier than a postcard, but not by much. So that's also tucked into this pocket. And in this pocket I have another card from my mom. And then the back of this, it actually was a print from a picture frame that I thrifted. And I wanted the frame for a portrait, but I kept the apples because I thought they were pretty. So here I had some reproduction stamps and then an actual stamp that also has apples. Another lace pocket. And then here's this pretty card from my mom with this pretty peach ribbon and a journaling tag I made out of watercolor paper in this pocket. And then we have this belly band made from vintage trim and this journaling tag with another one of these pretty stickers from my vintage Dollar Tree stuff that also has the journaling tag inside. And then that tucks into this belly band. And then over here I made a flip out of this card, which is another card from my mom. It's this pretty birdhouse card. And that flips over and there's space for journaling. And then the very last page is this tuck spot in the corner with another Dollar Tree sticker and this pretty card from my daughter. And then that's it. And the back of it is more scrapbooking paper, and we're done. Alright, thanks for watching the final flip through of my completed very first junk journal. Hope you'll stick around on my channel for more junk journaling. Plan on doing, at bare minimum, childhood journals, 70s, 80s. I've already got a great stash of ephemera. For more thrifting, for more upcycling, and some more refashioning. I've got really cute refashioning stuff to show you guys, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.